Thousands of years ago, two ancient cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, were completely destroyed. Their people lived with no care for what was right or good. They were filled with pride, greed, and violence. They turned away from truth, ignored all warnings, and laughed at anything holy. Their end came suddenly, with fire and destruction that left nothing behind. But what if this isn't just a story from the past? What if it's a warning for our time? Look around today. The signs are everywhere. Cities filled with anger, violence on the streets, families breaking apart, people caring more about pleasure and power than kindness or truth. Right and wrong have become blurred. Faith is mocked. The poor are forgotten. Lies are celebrated while truth is pushed aside. This isn't just about ancient history. It's about what's happening right now. As the world becomes more chaotic, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah feels less like a distant memory and more like a mirror. Are we repeating the same mistakes? Are we ignoring the same warnings? Are we becoming Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0? The world is changing fast and not always for the better. What happened once can happen again, if we're not careful. History doesn't just repeat itself by accident. It happens when people stop paying attention. This video will take a closer look at the disturbing signs all around us. Signs that show how the same sins that brought down Sodom and Gomorrah are rising again today. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is found in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, chapters 18 and 19. These two cities were once full of life, wealth, and activity, but they were also full of sin. People there lived however they wanted. They did not care about what was right or wrong. They rejected God completely. God saw the evil in these cities. The people were violent, proud, and deeply immoral. They didn't care about anyone but themselves. There was no kindness, no respect, no fear of God. So God decided that judgment had to come. But first, he sent angels to visit the cities. Before destroying the cities, God told Abraham, his faithful servant, what was going to happen. Abraham begged God to spare the cities if even 10 righteous people could be found. God agreed, but not even 10 could be found. The angels went to Sodom and were welcomed into the home of a man named Lot. Lot was a good man who tried to live right, even in a sinful place. That night, the men of the city surrounded Lot's house. They demanded to abuse the visitors. This showed just how far the people had fallen into evil. It wasn't just private sin. They were proud of it and did it openly. The angels warned Lot to leave the city immediately with his family. They told him that God was going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah with fire from heaven. Lot and his family were told not to look back. Sadly, Lot's wife disobeyed and looked back, and she turned into a pillar of salt. Then, the destruction came. Fire and burning sulfur rained down from the sky. The cities were wiped out completely. Nothing was left. The land that once looked green and full of life became empty and dead. This story shows the seriousness of sin and the reality of divine judgment. But it also shows mercy. God gave a chance to escape. Lot and his daughters were saved because he listened and obeyed. The fall of Sodom and Gomorrah wasn't just about one sin. The Bible tells us clearly what their main problems were. In Ezekiel 16:49, God says, "Now this was the sin of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters were arrogant, overfed, and unconcerned. They did not help the poor and needy." Let's break that down into 5 major sins. 1. Arrogance. The people of Sodom were full of pride. They thought they were better than others. They felt like they didn't need God or anyone else. This pride made them blind to their own faults. 2. Gluttony. overfed. They had more than enough food, wealth, and comfort, but instead of being thankful or sharing, they became lazy and selfish. They lived for pleasure and comfort, not for purpose or helping others. 3. Indifference to the poor and needy. Sodom ignored the suffering around them. They didn't care about the hungry, the weak, or the outsiders. They had everything, but they did nothing good with it. 4. Sexual immorality. Sodom became known for its sexual sins. People followed their desires with no self-control or limits. They didn't respect the body, marriage, or God's design for love and sex. Instead, they did what felt good in the moment, no matter how harmful or wrong it was. 5. Pride in sin. Worst of all, they weren't ashamed. They did evil in the open and were proud of it. They mocked anything pure. They laughed at those who warned them. They didn't just sin, they celebrated it. When a society reaches this point, it's on dangerous ground. Sodom and Gomorrah became a warning, not just a story. Now let's look at today's world. Are we any different from Sodom and Gomorrah? Pride and arrogance are everywhere. People believe they can define right and wrong for themselves. Many believe they don't need God. Success, power, and fame have become the highest goals. People no longer listen to wisdom or correction. Pride is seen as strength, not weakness. Gluttony and selfishness have become normal. In many parts of the world, people throw away more food than others ever see. People chase luxury and pleasure, always wanting more. Comfort is worshipped. Instead of being grateful and generous, people are often greedy and wasteful. Indifference to the poor is shocking. Homeless people live on the streets while others walk by with coffee and new phones. We hear about suffering in other countries, but we scroll past it. Many would rather ignore it than act. Just like Sodom, wealth is common, but so is coldness of heart. Sexual immorality has become mainstream. What was once hidden is now celebrated. Songs, movies, and social media are full of content that breaks down the ideas of purity, modesty, and commitment. The line between right and wrong has been erased. People are told to follow your heart or do what feels right, no matter the cost. And just like Sodom, today's world is proud of sin. Evil is not just accepted, it's praised. Speaking truth is called judgmental. Standing for morals is seen as hateful. What was once wrong is now called good, and what was once good is now mocked. Look at some cities and cultures around the world. Some are full of beauty and success on the outside, but inside, they are crumbling. Families are broken. Crime is rising. Depression and confusion are growing. The deeper people go into selfishness and sin, the more lost they become. Does this sound familiar? We may not see fire falling from the sky, but we are watching societies break down from the inside. Broken homes, lost values, violence, fear, and emptiness are all signs. These are spiritual warnings. Just like in Sodom, the world is ignoring the signs. This doesn't mean every person is evil or every place is beyond hope, but it does mean we should wake up. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is not just about judgment, it's about choices. God gave them time. He warned them. He offered mercy, but they refused. So what about us? Are we living in Sodom 2.0? Are we repeating the same mistakes? Are we ignoring the same warnings? The answer depends on what we do next. Will we listen? Will we change? Will we care for others? Live with humility? Turn from sin and honor truth? History doesn't have to repeat itself, but if we act like the people of Sodom, we may face the same end. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah isn't the only warning we've been given. Throughout the Bible and other ancient texts, we find many messages about what happens when people and nations turn away from truth, justice, and morality. Jesus himself spoke about it. In Luke 17:28-30, he said, "It was the same in the days of Lot. People were eating and drinking, buying and selling, planting and building. But the day Lot left Sodom, fire and sulfur rained down from heaven and destroyed them all. It will be just like this on the day the Son of Man is revealed." In other words, life seemed normal. People were living as usual, focused on their own plans and pleasures, until it was too late. This pattern didn't stop with Sodom. History shows us many examples of civilizations that rose in power, then fell when they lost their moral center. Ancient Rome is a perfect example. Rome was once strong, rich, and powerful, but over time it became a place of corruption, sexual excess, violence for entertainment, and deep injustice. Family life broke down. Truth was silenced. Pride and greed ruled. In the end, Rome collapsed, not just from outside attack, but from inner decay. The same happened to Babylon, Greece, and many others. When people push out truth and ignore warnings, history has a way of repeating itself. Today, many people are blind to what's happening. Morals are shifting fast. What used to be seen as wrong is now seen as normal, or even good. And what used to be respected, faith, family, truth, is now mocked or pushed aside. We see it in media, politics, schools, and even some churches. God's word is often ignored or twisted. Families are falling apart. Many young people are confused and lost. Lies are louder than truth. Right is called wrong, and wrong is called right. But here's the danger. The people of Sodom thought they were fine too. They laughed, partied, and went on with life, even as judgment was at the door. They didn't believe anything bad would happen. They didn't think their actions had consequences. And then, it was too late. Are we doing the same thing? Judgment doesn't always look like fire from the sky. Sometimes it comes slowly, through broken communities, rising crime, fear, division, and hopelessness. Sometimes it looks like nations falling apart from the inside. It can come in ways we don't expect, through lost generations, natural disasters, or even spiritual emptiness. But the signs are there, just like they were in the past. Even with all these warnings, there is still hope. God did not destroy Sodom without first giving a chance to escape. Lot and his family were saved, not because they were perfect, but because they listened and obeyed. God sent messengers. He gave time. He showed mercy. That same mercy is available today. The message of Sodom and Gomorrah is not just about punishment. It's about choice. It's about turning back before it's too late. It's about living with open eyes and soft hearts. Repentance isn't just a big religious word. It simply means to turn around. We can turn from selfishness, from pride, from lies, and turn back to truth, kindness, and God. This is true for people, families, and even whole nations. Change doesn't have to start big. It can begin with one person choosing to live differently, to speak truth, to show love, to stand for what's right, even when it's not popular. We are not hopeless, but we must be honest. If we are repeating the mistakes of Sodom, we must also be willing to change direction before the consequences catch up. So now we must ask, are we watching history repeat itself and doing nothing? Are we ignoring the signs, just like the people of Sodom? Are we pretending that everything is fine while the cracks grow deeper? Or are we willing to wake up, speak up, and stand for truth? You have a voice. You have a choice. Take a moment to reflect. What do you see in your own life, your city, your country. Do you see the signs? What can you do about them? We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. What stood out to you the most? Do you believe we are living in Sodom 2.0? If this message spoke to you, share it with someone else. You never know who might need to hear it. And if you want to explore more powerful truths from history and prophecy, subscribe to this channel. We're just getting started.